A warm evening to you and thanks for joining us for Tuesday evening's edition of Primetime News. I'm Michael Madimba. If it's your first time joining us, do subscribe, hit the like button, and be sure to click the bell icon to stay posted on the latest happenings locally and internationally. Leading the bulletin tonight, the Ministry of Health and Social Services' second National Health System Review Workshop aimed at assessing the performance of Namibia's health system and progress made between 2009 and 2021 started on Monday. Maria Kanjungu filed this report.
The week-long workshop has brought together representatives from the regions and development partners, as well as officials from the ministry, to review available data on the health system and provide an overview of the health status of the Namibian population under the healthcare services being provided in the country. The workshop will further evaluate the progress in the implementation of the Health Sector Strategic Plan 2017-2018 to 2021-2022 and provide an evidence base for the development of national development plans in achieving Vision 2030. The last health system review was conducted in 2008 and provided data for planning and decision making. Speaking during the official opening, the Health Ministry's Executive Director, Ben Nangombe, said data is critical in policy planning, adding that the data at hand is more than a decade old and a lot of things have changed over this period. Nangombe noted that the review comes at an opportune time as the ministry's strategic plan is set to come to an end in 2022, saying it will assess progress in attainment of targets, implementation of strategies, and document contextual factors impacting the performance of the health system through an in-depth analysis and to propose approaches to inform the development of the next health policy and sector strategic plan. After the workshop, the Health Ministry will do data collection in areas with insufficient data as identified through the workshop, and the second Namibia Health Review report will then be published.
Moving on to labour matters. Public Service Union of Namibia PSU and Secretary General Matthew Sahakuria says government has drastically failed civil servants with its decision not to increase salaries despite the extreme rise in cost of living. Linia Dishena compiled this report. Speaking at a press conference here on Monday, Hakuria stressed that civil servants have not received an increment for the past 6 years, despite the cost of living having risen and life becoming hard for many due to finances. During the mid-term budget review on 3 November 2021, Minister of Finance, Ipumbu Shimi, announced that civil servants would not be getting salary increases anytime soon, noting that Namibia is still in economic misery and the limited fiscal space means there are insufficient funds for increments for civil servants. Hakuria noted that it is time for government and unions to engage in real negotiations to avoid industrial action from civil servants, similar to that of the 2012 illegal strike by teachers, which forced government to act. He indicated that the tabled budget for 2021-2022, as well as the recent additional budget, does not contain any provision for salary increment. In negotiations that started on 25 February 2021, the bargaining unions, NANTU and NAPU, proposed for 10% increase in salaries, 10% in transport allowances below management level, 9% in housing allowance, 25% in the qualifying amount for housing subsidies, as well as a $7 per kilometer tariff increase. More needs to be done in supporting children and adolescent youth living with HIV and in achieving the fast-track targets amongst that population. This is according to the Executive Director in the Ministry of Health and Social Services, Ben Nangombe. Maria Kanjungu filed this insert for us.
Nangombe said this on Tuesday while officially opening a 3-day virtual training on pediatric HIV management targeting healthcare workers at both public and private healthcare facilities. The training offers refresher courses amidst constant change treatment regimes and gives an opportunity to local healthcare workers to share lessons on how other countries are managing children and adolescents living with HIV, how they are managing HIV and COVID-19 co-infections in children, as well as the use of pediatric DTG 10 milligrams, which was introduced in Namibia earlier this year. Nangombe said programmatic data shows that Namibia stands at 91.3% for viral suppression among the adult population. He noted that, however, more work needs to be done among children and adolescents living with HIV, as latest data shows that in terms of the fast-track targets of pediatrics, Namibia stands at 63% for viral suppression. Adding that to address some of these gaps, the ministry has started transitioning eligible children on ARV treatment to the new pediatric dolutegravir-based formulation, which comes at a scored 10 milligram tablet. This transition commenced in June 2021, and to date 73% of children are transitioned. He said the plan is to transition 100% of all eligible children by 31 December 2021. The ministry has introduced the Namibia Adolescent Treatment Sponsors, an adolescent peer-led intervention to support treatment, care and adherence to medication amongst children, adolescents and young people living with HIV.
Moving on to crime-related news. The lifeless body of a man was discovered in a sewer hole in Windhoek on Monday. Erasmus Chalihakwe is on top of this developing story and brings us more.
The Namibian Police Force spokesperson, Deputy Commissioner Kana Shukwambi, in a crime report said that the body of an unidentified man was found in a sewer hole in a riverbed in Katutura by City of Windhoek employees who were fixing the sewage pipe after it was reported as being blocked. She said the cause of death is not yet known and a post-mortem will be conducted. The man has not been identified and his next of kin have thus not yet been informed. Shukwambi called on members of the public who have a missing family member to visit the Windhoek Police mortuary for identification purposes.
Your top roundup is up next. In the business and economic segment tonight, we begin in neighboring South Africa, where authorities on Monday deployed 120 tourism monitors at its two busiest airports in order to boost safety and visitor information services. Xinhua brings us more.
The Department of Tourism and Airports Company of South Africa said the 120 trained youth will be deployed at OR Tambo and Cape Town International Airports for an initial period of 3 years as part of the Tourism Monitors program, aiming to enhance the visitors' experience as well as improve the safety of tourists. Lizzie Matupa, Chief Director of Visitor Services at the Department of Tourism, said ensuring the safety of tourists is a priority for the tourism sector. Matuba added that the Tourism Monitors program is a key intervention adopted to enhance safety awareness and reduce tourist vulnerabilities at tourism attractions and sites across the country. She noted they implemented this program in partnership with the police, preparing the youth through a rigorous 12-month training program, ensuring their proficiency as tourist guides and provide critical occupational health and safety skills. She further said the patrollers would raise tourism awareness, report crimes to the police, and support tourists in distress.
The United Nations Development Programme UNDP said on Monday it will assist Kenya's small and medium enterprises SMEs to access Africa's markets. Xinhua once more brings us this report.
Willit Badawi, UNDP Kenya resident representative, told journalists in Nairobi that it has partnered with government-owned Micro and Small Enterprises Authority to develop a comprehensive database for small businesses which will benefit from the information dissemination for business growth. Badawi said they will support small businesses to improve their ability to engage in cross-border trade and benefit from the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. The UNDP said that so far its current support to the Micro and Small Enterprises Authority, about $250, and is aimed at boosting small business capacity to enhance their market linkages. Badawi added that Kenya's economy is characterized by a large informal sector, just like the rest of the African continent.
Your sports update is up next, but first, a look at the economics roundup followed by the weather forecast. In tonight's sports segment, we begin with football. Gareth Southgate says England will educate themselves before deciding whether to protest Qatar's human rights record after sealing their place at the World Cup. AFP brings us more. Southgate's side qualified for next year's tournament with a 10-0 demolition of San Marino in their last Group I match on Monday. Qatar's human rights record has been criticized by Amnesty International in relation to the World Cup and the treatment of migrant workers building infrastructure, including stadiums for the tournament. The Netherlands, Norway and Germany national teams have made protests ahead of the tournament, and Southgate's team are mulling whether to follow suit. England defender Conor Cody said this week that Southgate's squad would discuss how to express their concerns about human rights in Qatar once they have qualified. Speaking at a press conference after the San Marino game, Southgate said he and his squad would investigate the complex issues surrounding Qatar. Moving on to tennis news. Australian tennis ace Nick Kyrgios today called for the Australian Open to be cancelled, while unexpectedly showing sympathy to tennis world number one Novak Djokovic, who has refused to reveal his vaccination status. Let's get more from AFP. The Australian tennis ace said he believed January's opening Grand Slam of the year should not go ahead out of respect for the struggles Melbourne, which hosts the tournament, has endured during the pandemic. The city has spent more than 260 days under lockdown since coronavirus emerged, and Kyrgios suggested it was not worth risking another setback. He said on his podcast, "No boundaries. He does not think the Australian Open should go ahead. Just for the people in Melbourne, you've got to send a message." Victoria State Sports Minister Martin Pakula disagreed, saying he couldn't follow the logic of Kyrgios' comments. He told reporters, "Melbournians, Victorians, and frankly all Australians are absolutely gagging for major events." Pakula said the economy needs it, their state psyche needs it. The tournament went ahead this year, but players were forced to spend 2 weeks in hotel quarantine. Crowds were restricted and a 5-day snap lockdown was called mid-event. Organizers are adamant it will run as scheduled in 2022, with fully vaccinated players expected to be able to enter Australia without being quarantined or confined to biosecure bubbles. Your sports roundup is up next. With that, we've come to the end of tonight's bulletin. A friendly reminder to please subscribe to this channel. Like, share with friends as well as family. Do add your comments as well in the comment section. Make a date with us on the morrow for your midweek edition of Primetime News. From myself, Michael Madimba, and the entire production crew, wishing you a pleasant evening.